their freezer enough and properly. Usually you go into someone's freezer and it's items that have been there since the dawn of man with freezer burn on them, or giant racks of ribs and 20 pieces of chicken that are so intimidating because you can't separate them, they're already frozen. So you have to use your freezer wisely. I am a big fan of the freezer, especially because we buy fresh produce, and that's the most ideal way, but a lot of times you buy something fresh with all these high hopes and it sits in your refrigerator going bad, and then you feel guilty. I like to keep a lot of good quality items in my freezer that I can just pull out whenever I need them to feed myself, to feed my daughter, to feed my friends. Okay, so the first thing is keep it in sections. So the one is the vegetable section. Now, a lot of times when you buy frozen broccoli or frozen vegetables, it's the chopped up stems, it's not the best pieces. If you buy fresh broccoli and it's about to go bad, or you're out at a restaurant and you order broccoli and there's a whole side of it, whatever it is, take it home and put it in the freezer. And you can, if you're really obsessive like I am, you can date it and label it. But the most important thing is to fill things to the top. Even if it's in a Ziploc bag, fill it to the top, because that extra air, that's where the freezer burn comes from. The same thing goes for spinach, and I buy the boxes of frozen spinach too. It's a great thing to add into a pasta, to add into a turkey burger, make a spinach turkey burger, or to add into a meatloaf, to puree and sneak into your kids' food, especially when kids are younger. You get them used to eating vegetables and putting it into their food, and it's just such a good idea. I do that with the ice cube trays. It's a great way to use an ice cube tray is to take things that are going bad, whether it could be basil that you make into a pesto, and then you just pull out an ice cube and put it in the base of a sauce, put it right in the pan, and then add pasta to it. It's nothing. Or when I was starting to feed my daughter, I would take vegetables that were left over and were going to waste, I would puree them. It takes 2 minutes with an immersion blender or a regular blender, and then just freeze it. You could sneak this into a tomato sauce and no one would ever know that they were getting their vegetables. And it's hard to get kids to eat vegetables. Obviously, same thing with butternut squash. Okay, so, and then there are just some items that are better. Think about the items that are better frozen. You're not buying frozen, you're not freezing avocado, but peas are a great thing. They're even better frozen sometimes, or corn. If you're in the summer, you're barbecuing, if it's going bad, cut it off and put it in the freezer. I don't waste. Okay, and as far as fruit goes, the same thing. We wanna eat fruits, but they go bad really quickly. So when I know they're about to go bad, I take a bag of blueberries. If a banana is about to brown, even if it gets really brown, take the peel off, freeze it. It's great for baking later if you defrost it. Doesn't matter how brown it is. Great for muffins. Good for smoothies. All this stuff goes together for a smoothie. Sometimes we have to think a little bit when we do our leftovers. When you finish a meal, instead of just putting it all in the fridge in a container, all your chicken or all your pasta, which gets really sloppy, take a little time with those Chinese food containers you have left over and make your own little TV dinners. So expensive. Those TV dinners are probably $7. This costs very little. It's just wasted leftovers. Take your piece of chicken or fish, take your vegetable, take your rice, then you just pull it out. Or if you're going out for girls' night, here, honey, here's your meal tonight. Enjoy. You enjoy that. Okay. Also, you go to a store like a Costco or a place that has meat in big bulk that's inexpensive, just take 5 minutes, make your patties, season them. You could put pesto in them, do them however you want, and use either a soup container or here it's a coffee container. Separate with wax paper so you could just pull them out individually, okay? And this would be for a big party. I would do them in the little soup containers by 4s because you don't want to it's a big pain when you have to defrost the whole thing and then waste. And then this is another little tip. A lot of you are watching your weight. Take your Snickers bars, your candy, put it in the freezer. It makes it last longer. If you want a little chocolate snack in the afternoon, having to get your teeth through one of these. If you have caps, don't call me when they fall out. It's not my problem. Or if this is one of my skinny girl bars, those nutritional bars. When they get harder, it kind of takes longer, even a cookie or a brownie. The freezer can be your friend. Okay. And one last thing. Just even when you're out to dinner, even if you make a pasta dish for your child or anything, most things, when you take them and put them in a nice little container, you can freeze them, and you're so excited to see that penne alla vodka later in a small portion for your kids. So I just really do. In case you haven't noticed, I love the freezer. When we come back, I'm going to make dinner from a freezer. I'm going to make items that are usually not interesting, much more interesting, out of the freezer.